we were waiting for the bus at what is now, it was a post office at one time in Valwa. So we were watching as Carol Officio's father ran down the tracks yelling at the train. It didn't work. He didn't get hurt. The only thing that got done in was Carol Officio's father's truck.
In the westernmost part of Montreal, in the earliest of suburban days, the members of the Valois Citizens Association made a roads and safety prediction on October the 14th, 1930 that would not only come true, but would come to a head nearly 70 years ago to the day of the release of this video. Let's give some context. You see, by the late 1920s, the Citizens Association became very concerned about the increased car traffic crossing over Valois Bay Avenue's level crossing. This concern arose from the fact that by that point, most of Valois residents lived above the tracks, and the main access road to the city in those years was Route 37, aka Lakeshore Avenue, which was below the tracks. This traffic crossing over the tracks was getting more and more dangerous, and not to mention the Citizens Association were well aware that within the next 10 years or so, a brand new highway or major boulevard would be built right next to the already dangerous tracks as well. They wanted a tunnel. Not like what's there today, not like the tunnel there now, but an actual underpass, or as they called it, a subway. To make this an even clearer picture for you all to see, before the 1950s, level crossings didn't only exist at Sources Boulevard, St. John's, and St. Charles, but there were access points all in between, and east and west of this point. And a major one was here at Valois Bay Avenue, until around 1952. For if the concerns of the Valois Citizens Association was taken as seriously as they'd hoped, this could have been avoided. On November 14th, 1952, a 15-car transcontinental express train on the CNR line left Vancouver and had made its way across country, ready to pass through Valois early in the morning of that following Tuesday. It was traveling at around 111 kilometers an hour, which was the proper speed for that train on those tracks at that time. The conductor of the train was quoted as saying, "We were going at an express train speed around a slight curve when a truck and a trailer pulled across in front of us. There was nothing I could do."
No, I'm not quite sure. I think we were just on our way to school, going to get the next passenger train in the CP line. We would be a couple hundred yards up Prince Edward Avenue. Boy, did we run. See what had happened.
We could hear it in school. Like, I think I was in grade 5. We heard the crash, from Valois Park. Yeah. It was really loud.
At roughly 8:30 a.m., when Hector Deslauriers of Lakeshore Construction was crossing over the tracks in his truck, pulling a trailer with a small-sized bulldozer, but a pretty big-sized bulldozer, on its flatbed, he claimed that his truck seemed to have stalled on the tracks.
The truck pulling it was okay. It just stood there. It wasn't hit. But the flatbed trailer disconnected and lodged itself under the front wheels of the engine, under the cowcatcher, and just acted like a plow. So it just dug into the gravel bed of and tore up the tracks as it went. When that train hit that flat trailer, it had a small tractor or something on it. The thing splintered, and those splinters just scattered all across the CPR track.
Luckily, there were no deaths, only 2 injuries, which is pretty remarkable when you look at this.
Fortunately, commuter passengers had just got on the CP local towards Montreal. I think it would have been the 814 or something like that. Otherwise, there would have been a lot more people hurt.
So out of the 15 cars, 10 derailed. Now, quite the investigation came out of this incredible event to determine if the train was traveling at the correct speed, if the warning bells were dinging, and if the wigwags were wigwagging. But the results of the investigation aren't the point here. The point here, in my opinion, is that the Valois Citizens Association called it 22 years before this happened. And let's be clear, this was not the first time that this happened. This is just the last straw. What followed was the inevitable closing of the Valois level crossing, which is obviously still closed today. You wouldn't even know that there ever even was one. And also the severing of Valois Village to the beautiful bay that was about to be polluted anyways, and the 20 and the lakeshore. more. And for years following this closure, the citizens of Vawa fought to have it reopened. It was adding about 2 kilometers in their commute that they didn't have before. And while the plans for a possible traffic tunnel, or subway as they called it, could be built, delegations went to Ottawa on more than one occasion to fight for something, but alas, nothing was built. Instead, all this traffic was diverted to sources where they were planning to build something else. But alas, that is for another endangered story.